The Ukrainian armed forces hellish sanctions against Russia, Putin's total fear of Trump, and the Kremlin's inappropriate threats to Europe. We'll discuss all of these topics right now. My name is Iryna Uzlova, and today with us is Michael Sheitelman, political strategist. Michael, hello, glad to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Irina. I'm also very glad to see you.
And all our viewers. Putin and his administration are currently discussing an attack on NATO. European Commissioner for Defense Andrius Kubilius said about it right today. On this, at the same time, Norway is being attacked by drones. This weekend we saw few attacks against Germany, against München aircraft. So, Michael, do you believe that Putin can really and will attack NATO? And where will he gather the resources to it?
Well, it depends on the kind of attack, because we are not speaking now at this stage on full-scale aggression, I believe. Not the full-scale aggression against all the Europe together. That's really difficult. It is thousands of kilometers of front line, and for this effort, Russian army is not ready now. But to start it from provocations like sending drones, for example, this stage, we now are living this stage. And just during the last week, we have seen drones above France, Munich you mentioned, and Norway, Denmark, Sweden, and some Baltic states, and and also Netherlands. Yeah. So all of these states were attacked by drones. This is, let's say, unrecognized drones. But today, Chancellor of Germany, Mr. Merz, he said they're Russian drones. So he does not have the opinion. He is not the opinion guy. So he has information from intelligence service, German intelligence service, obviously. So this is the first stage. And second stage could be, after the provocation with drones, could be the same, but with people. If you could send your jets and you could send your drones above the territory of European Union or NATO, European NATO countries, and they not react they not react with a military way, let's say, only diplomatic way. So why not to start the same with occupation, let's say, some of Baltic cities. And we could also mention the usual suspects like Narva in Estonia, or Daugavpils in Latvia, or Suwalki or Gustav or someday here in Poland. So this is the cities which located exactly on the Russian border, or Belarusian or Russian border. And in first case, now about Narva and Daugavpils, there are cities there, at least half of population were Russian-speaking population. So Putin and his gang, they could start it as the operation of to free Russian people or something like that. And we could say that it is not Russian army. This is like private people who started that. Exactly the same they did in Ukraine in 2014. Then they started a war against Ukraine in Crimea, and in Donbass they started not with official military forces. On first press conferences during a year, Putin said that they are not Russian forces in Crimea. In Crimea, when we have seen the people in Russian uniform, and he said, no, they just bought this uniform in some military store, but they are not our soldiers. And only 1 year after the occupation of Crimea, he recognized that these guys, they are Russian soldiers. So the same he could do in these cities, in these countries, and he hopes, why he prepared that, he hopes that the reaction of NATO and of European Union and of these countries will be the same like with drones, diplomatic reaction, like, oh, that is bad news, what are you doing? And not military reaction. So this is the kind of Russian aggression, which we now waiting for.
We'll talk about bright Crimea latest events later, but now let me, Michael, clarify on the previous topic, because really we didn't see any relevant war reaction, military reaction from European countries, but also the German police were allowed to shoot down drones with lasers if these drones attacks the airspace. But at the same time, Dmitry Medvedev, representative of the Russian Security Council, the deputy chairman, said that unknown drones in the skies over several European countries are meant to clearly demonstrate to the local population the risks of war with Russia, so that they'll be afraid and shake, reported Medvedev. Is such a response from Western partners sufficient in light of such actions and threats from Russian side?
First, when we say that European countries like Germany, for example, decided to shut down drones, this is also political and diplomatic reaction. They did not shoot it down. They just decided to shoot it down.
Yeah, you're
so
right.
there's a difference, yeah? The decision, political decision, diplomatic decision, all the action. We have no military action from European side. Military action is, the first, is to shut down drones. This is the first reaction. And in case, if this is by the way, the drones above Germany, above Munich, they were not, how to say that this is not striking drones, this is intelligent drones. This is the fresh information from German chancellor. So in this case, obviously, Germany will not be ready to strike back. But if we receive the strike drones, the real drones with explosion materials, it means that generally NATO should strike back, to strike some military bases inside Russia. Why not? This is the reaction, the same reaction like the aggression. Yeah. But now we are only on the stage of diplomatic decisions. And concerning these undefined flying drones, UFD, by Mr. Medvedev, so generally it means that he recognizes that they are Russian drones. But we don't need this recognition. If we have information from Merz, who we believe more? Mr. Medvedev or Mr. Merz? Obviously that Mr. Merz, yeah.
Yes, but we understand that Dmitry Medvedev is an official person anyway. So his threats, I think, must be detailed and learned by European countries also. And Putin mentioned these undefinite drones when he had his public speech on Valdais Forum last Thursday, and he told that he will never attack NATO, but everybody understands when Putin says that he doesn't attack, he will attack.
Okay, this understanding is not so obvious, but in my opinion, rather obvious that we just couldn't trust anything that Putin says. We just couldn't trust it. We don't say, okay, if he said no, so it means yes. But if he said no, or if he said yes, it is the same for us, because we don't trust any word we are hearing from President Putin. This is the manner of President Trump, for example, to believe to Mr. Putin and to trust Mr. Putin and to say, wow, I trust him. He does not want war, etc., etc. But during last 4 years, during the full-scale aggression, and during last 11 years, during all the war of Russia against Ukraine, which means also Crimea war and Donbass war, we always, every day, we heard some false information, lies from Mr. Putin, So obviously we shouldn't believe in any word. So it is rather, senseless to listen to him because you don't know if it is true or not true.
Yes, clear. He is a big liar. We know it for years, for many years, more than 20 years. But Donald Trump called Putin's proposal to extend the limits of the latest nuclear treaty between the US and Russia for a year a good idea, while positively appreciating his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin a proposal to continue adhering to the limits of the new strategic arms reduction treaty after it expires on February 5, 2026. That sounds like a good idea to me, Trump said during a meeting with reporters at the White House. However, he didn't elaborate any details at all. Putin voiced his proposal almost 2 weeks ago on September 22 at the Security Council meeting. What should we understand about such statements by Donald Trump considering this new strategic arms reduction treaty?
In my opinion, it is a very brilliant reaction from President Trump because Putin, when he offered this offer to prolong this agreement, but not officially prolong this agreement. Like, let's prolong it, but not sign the prolongation of this agreement. And by the way, it was initiative of Russian side just to withdraw their signing from this agreement. This is not the term of agreement ended. No. They just stopped the membership in this agreement. And they very wanted any answer. They believed on Russian side that this is the start of dialogue, this is the start of new dialogue, and they want to throw somehow Americans to the new dialogue, to the new negotiation, not about Ukraine, about anything else. And they could somehow use this as a card in Ukraine negotiation. I will just bring an example. We heard a lot of rumors about American missiles Tomahawk. A lot of rumors, this not only rumors, that also the statements by Vice President of United States and statement by Special Envoy Kit Kellogg about Tomahawk missiles, that Mr. Trump now take the decision about that. And yesterday we heard from Putin that he said, if he delivered the Tomahawks to Ukrainian side, it will destroy our new relationship, which we started to build in Alaska, etc., etc. So we very want to make the presentation like we have some special relationship with United States. But Mr. Trump ruined this relationship. And he is not fair. He does not hesitate to ruin that. He said that Putin is like war criminal. No. He's not said about war criminal. It was Mr. Merz. But he said that Mr. Putin is not ready to peace, and we should use the force, our military force, to force him to participate in negotiation. So it doesn't look like a relationship, And Putin wanted to use this issue of strategic missiles for that. And when he brought his offer, a week after that, then there was no any reaction. Mr. Lavrov, foreign minister of Russian Federation, again brought this idea. And he said, wow, but Mr. Putin brought this idea and you don't react. Afterwards, in some event in the United Nations, so ambassador of Russia in United Nations again brought this idea. So why you don't react, they asked. But Trump kept silence, and all his cabinet kept silence about that. Like they just don't pay attention. They don't pay attention. They don't care about Putin's word. And now also it was just an answer to some press outlets. By the way, I believe this answer was was initiated by Russians, by Russian propaganda. They could initiate some question inside the American media community, yeah. And what is the Trump answer? Not we are ready, not we are discussing, not let's discuss, not let's start a negotiation. Wow, interesting. In United Kingdom, I know this polite answer. Then they don't when they won't say no to you. They say, "Oh, that's great, but ambitious." So that looks like that sounds. The answer of President Trump also sounds like, "Oh, that's great, but," and he didn't say any but. Yeah,
Yeah.
to arrest President Putin in his half position, let's say, then he doesn't know what to say, what he should do now. He said that is interesting, but there is no any steps. What should do Mr. Putin? Nothing. Yeah, he doesn't know what. So this is the game. Obviously, this is the game from Trump, and he placed exactly Russian game in this case. Like Russians said, oh yeah, we are ready to the peace and continued to bomb and to strike Ukraine. So also he said, oh, that's interesting, yeah. But believe me, this is very, very probably to say that Americans, they will bring some new missiles to Europe after the February 5th. So some, I don't remember exact date of this.
Yeah, February 5th. February 5th next year. Yes, new missiles and new weapon because Europe should protect itself against Russian attacks. Which
Not only, Irina, this is not only like that. Putin did a mistake, then he withdrew his signing from this agreement. You are ready to the new weapon race? Are you ready or not for that? That is the question from Trump. Trump now, during last weeks, he knows that Russian economy does not exist. Russian economy is very weak. Probably before that, he never paid his attention to Wikipedia, for example, and he didn't know that Russia is only 2% of world economy, and US is 30% of world economy, and Russia only 2%, and China is 20%. So Russia is very, very small country, very, very small. We have 200 countries on the world, and Russia is only 2% of world economy. And President Trump knows, I believe, that it will be the disaster to Russia now to participate in the new race of military equipment. And he wanted from Russia. You want to participate in this race? We Americans, we are a very rich country. We spend $1 trillion per year for military expenses. And you Russians, and we spend it not during the war. We have a peace. America now does not participate in any war and spend $1 trillion per year. You are Russians. You spend 150 billions, which is 7 times less than the United States, and you participate in the biggest war of 21st century. So let's compete one with other in the strategic missiles. We could build 5,000 strategic missiles during a year, and you spend all your missiles to Ukraine. So we are ready to win you. Why not? Why not to compete? And this is good idea for us, for United States, to spend money on our, by the way, on our factories, on our military productions for the missiles. And you Russians, when you build missiles, as we know, you have dozens of details which you buy from Europe, from China, from India. You don't know to produce that yourself. You spend money for that. We don't spend money. That is the difference. And I believe that President Trump is ready for that.
And I think that another big mistake by Putin was that he deployed or declared that he deployed nuclear weapons in Belarus in 2023.
Here I couldn't agree. Really, I couldn't agree because, it is a legal move, absolutely legal move. If you check exactly the agreement about the limit of nuclear weapon, so you can't lend the operation of this weapon to the third party. but you could position it in the third-party land. For example, American nuclear weapon exists on United Kingdom territory, for example, and they could move it also to Germany or somewhere. I don't know if it is located now in some places. In Germany, not. It was located during the Cold War, Persian missiles, but not now. But what Putin did, he did not stopped any agreement with this move. No, that's absolutely illegal. And but President Lukashenko lies that is his nuclear weapon, but this is not his nuclear weapon. This is nuclear weapon under Russian control and not Belarusian control.
Yes, absolutely. Like Belarus too, in general, because Lukashenko sold it and he depends on Putin in every sphere now.
Yes, and now he is also not only defend Putin as usual. Yes, they are military allies, obviously, but the new role of Mr. Lukashenko is a Putin's negotiator, Putin's special envoy in Ukrainian war.
Yes.
Yeah, really, really. They decided that why not? If Kit Kellogg and his deputy organized the visits to Minsk to Lukashenko and had a conversation with Lukashenko about the Ukrainian war, obviously Russian-Ukrainian war. So they decided, Americans started the negotiation with Lukashenko, so let's use it. And now Lukashenko offered to President Zelensky the meeting about the war. And President Zelensky obviously said, but who are you? Why I should meet you? Who are you? You're just some guy from Belarus? That's it? This is your only role? By the way, not Europe and not Ukraine does not recognize Lukashenko as a president. He is not legal president of Belarus. He is just some guy from Belarus. That's first. And second, we don't have a war with Belarus officially. We have a war with Russian Federation. So why to negotiate with you? But that is their part of game, Russian-Belarusian part of game, yeah.
Okay, let's talk about our Russian-Ukrainian war. We are seeing more and more attacks on Crimea. The knockout of enemy forces is systematic. Russians are packing their bags. My subscribers in Crimea write to me such things and describe such reality. How painful are the strikes on Crimea for Putin? How do you think, Michael?
I can't say exactly that we have some special attacks on Crimea. Last night, for example, that is the data from a Russian defense minister, by the way, that Ukraine struck 251 big drones to territory of Russian Federation and occupied Crimea. 251. Let's compare. The night before that, Russians had one of the biggest attacks during the war on Ukrainian territory, and they used 500 drones and 50 missiles. And now Ukraine used 251 drones. And Ukrainian drones, we could compare to Russian drones. It is something, I believe, the same. By the way, Ukraine uses only strike drones with real nitro, and Russian, they use half drones of Shahed drones, which are really exploding drones, and half drones, this is like false drones without anything, yeah? Just to make the problems to our counter missile system. So if we take this in this comparison, so it was the same attack of Ukraine to Russian territory plus Crimea, not only Russian territory. Out of these 251, I believe 40 of them were on Crimea territory. And in Crimea territory, there was one big object. This is the oil, not factory, but oil storage, the biggest oil storage in Crimea, which was struck this night. We are speaking only about last 24 hours, not the long history of months or years. This is last 24 hours, Ukraine struck 251 drones to Russian territory plus Crimea. So in Crimea, it was with oil, not refinery, sorry, but storage. But if we count what else we struck in Russian territory last night again, it was the biggest producer of nitro in Dzerzhinsk, Nizhegorod Oblast, Nizhegorod district in Russian Federation. This is near Moscow. This is near Moscow. The biggest producer of nitro in Russian territory. Next is couple of electricity productions in, yeah, we could see now this darkness in Belgorod and Bryansk district. And I don't remember now the names of all the Russian cities, but a lot of Russian cities were under strike this night. And if we see on months or couple of months, so the main strikes, they are on refineries. And in Crimea, I believe they don't have any refineries. Russians, they don't have any refineries in Crimea. So the main target is refineries. So yes, Crimea is, we have problems in Crimea, but it is logistic problems. It is very difficult to bring. We don't have local refinery in Crimea. We should bring it from the nearby refineries in Krasnodar Oblast, Krasnodar region and Rostov region. But in Krasnodar and Rostov, Ukraine struck many times to refineries, so obviously we don't have enough production now. Generally, we decreased production of gasoline in Russian Federation by 40% during the last couple of months, 40%. So we have deficit not only in Crimea, we have deficit in Russian mainland, really Russian land, not only on occupied territories. And in Crimea, we have now a limit for users for the gasoline, because all the gasoline goes to the army, and they couldn't sell it to just civil population, because we have logistic problems. Ukrainian army de facto stopped the movement of gasoline on the bridge from Russia to Crimea.
Yeah.
We fear of that because they know that we will strike the trains with oil and with gasoline, and it will stop them any moves on over this bridge. So we have really tough logistic problem with Crimea. Yeah.
The Economist noticed it too and wrote a big article about such problems in Russian Federation after Ukrainian effective attacks. And reporters of The Economist noted that Ukraine's hellfire is deepening the Kremlin's fuel crisis. Nearly half of Russia's oil refineries have already been hit by drones and missiles. According to The Economist, also the pace of these attacks is only increasing, while drones were hitting refineries and fuel logistics facilities 2 or 3 times a week in August. The number of strikes has now reached 4 or 5, and they could soon become daily. So it's really grandiose, awesome effect.
Yeah, good news. By the way, today Economist published some article. I don't know, is it exactly the same article or different article? I just wrote it in translation from English language, and it was the article about Ukrainian production of cruise missiles, which is called Flamingo. And Economist claims that Ukraine produced dozens of Flamingo missiles, and now, at least now, Ukraine produces 2 or 3 missiles per day, the cruise missiles, and the plan of Ukraine to the autumn is to start produce about 7 missiles per day, which means 200 missiles per month, and this is a rather big figure. And this is cruise missiles with a range of more than 2,000 kilometers. So they compared in this article Ukrainian missiles with Tomahawk, and generally with range, it is biggest range than Tomahawk has. they brought the more explosion materials, 1,150 kilo of explosion materials inside this Ukrainian missile tomograph, not tomograph, Flamingo. But tomograph also has some preferences because this is faster or something, I don't remember exactly. So it means that the economist, they believes in good perspective of Ukrainian strikes to Russian refineries. Yeah.
Michael, thank you very much for such a great conversation, for your time and your thoughts. See you next week in such interview. Take care.
Thank you, Iryna. Bye.
Michael Sheitelman, political strategist. My name is Iryna Uzlova. Guys, thank you for joining and watching us. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels, Michael Sheitelman and War and Politics 24. See you later. Take care.